moving force because, as I said, not one, not 4 signatures, but 13 can change and reorganize the leadership, and that's what it took.
But was it you and the other 3 senators I mentioned who actually went around and tried to get signatures?
To be accurate about it and to be fair, it was probably the speeches of Senators Lacson and Madrigal that really generated support, interest,
That was
awareness.
the final nail in the coffin? Ganun?
It probably started it. And then there were talks, discontentment perhaps, on how the chamber was being run. I don't want to be personal here. I just want to look at the organization from an objective point of view and would like to analyze it from the beginning when the privileged speeches ensued. And then there were committee hearings and there were proposed ethics committee investigations na hindi natuloy, and there were charges which remain unanswered. All of that. Because I cannot speak for my colleagues who signed, or colleagues from the majority who supported him, who now supported Senator or Senate President Enrile for a reorganization. I would only speak for myself. And from the very beginning, from July of 2007, I voted for Senator Pimentel to be Senate President. So, hindi naman lingid sa kaalaman ng madla at ng marami na ako, kasama si Mar at si Jambi at si Ping, ay bumoto kay Nene mula pa ng July 2007. At siguro naman hindi ikasasama loob ni Senator Villar na hindi kami bumoto sa kanya ngayon dahil mula pa ng July 2007, si Senator Pimentel ang aming tinakdang Senate President noon.
Now that Manny Villar is no longer Senate President, does that mean na hindi na siya imbestigahan for the C5 double insertion?
Depende yan sa magiging chairman ng Ethics Committee. Dahil una, hindi pa na-constitute ang Ethics Committee or hindi pa nagtatakda ng unang hearing. Pangalawa, yung hindi pag-hear dahil hindi ka na Senate President ay siguro wala naman koneksyon o I don't think a charge disappears just because you lose a position.
Okay, so you're saying that you do want some closure to this, no? Hindi nga closure hindi pa nga nabuksan mabuti, no? So you do want this opened up. So talagang kailangan imbestigahan, in other words.
Kung merong ebidensya, dapat imbestigahan.
Hindi pa ebidensya yung pinakita ni na Ping Lacson.
Maliwanag na merong pag-uusapan at meron dapat ipaliwanag. Kung merong ang hard evidence, meron daw sila. At siguro ang mga miyembro ng Ethics Committee ang siyang dapat maghusga dyan.
For the longest time, I remember when Manny Villar took over as Senate President, and then when it became clear that he was interested in running for the presidency, although he hasn't declared himself, no? There was some talk among senators and observers na parang hindi ata fair, no? Senate President, tapos tatakbong presidente. Parang meron siyang undue advantage here. Did you feel that way?
You can look at it both sides. Pag Senate President ka, your hands are tied. At nandun ka dapat, and it's difficult for you to make comments, and you bear the burden of having the whole organization to run, the whole institution to defend. Mas may panahon ka pag hindi ka Senate President. On the other hand, you also have the position and the resources. So it's both an advantage and a disadvantage. It's what you make of it.
Okay. Let's talk about 2010 again. You're with the opposition now, but by 2010, and we've heard this said before, no? Do you think it's not going to be a clear pro-GMA versus anti-GMA
because she's not running
line?
Yes.
I mean, in the U.S. elections, George Bush wasn't running, but he was also the issue there.
But it's a two-party system, and it's very clear that the ideologies of the Democrats is worlds apart from the Republicans. Dalawang partido lang yon, ibang ating sistema, di ba? Multi-party. You have as many candidates and as many parties as perhaps there are senators. Even in one party, they're split.
Platform.
Yes, and even in one party, there are 2 or 3 factions. So it's not very clear. Is it pro-GMA, anti-GMA? I think that the incumbent president will have a hand, and whoever she endorses, of course, will have to reflect the performance of the incumbent president and will bear the burden, how do you call it, the onus of having to explain on the many issues beleaguering and surrounding the incumbent president. On the other hand, all the others cannot also say we are just anti-GMA. Dapat maliwanag ang mga ideolohiya at ang mga prinsipyo at ang vision at plataforma ng lahat ng kandidato. So it's not just all about GMA or being against GMA.
It's about programs talaga, no? Plataforma talaga.
Kaya maganda, I welcome the suggestion of the Commission on Elections to hold clear
debates, yes.
Clear debates.
Aba, ang daming kandidato na ayaw ng ganon.
Sino? Meron na bang umayaw?
Hindi, wala pa naman. Pero dati in the past, no? And, there are some candidates who refuse to be interviewed nga. Ayaw lang.
Even
ayaw
a senator in 2007, I recall, you had a very good forum here where we will able, it was like a debate, di ba? May mga taning pa na oras at may ilaw pang lumalabas sa mga issues na aming pinapaglaban. Mahalaga yon dahil dapat maintindihan ng taong bayan, sino ba tong kandidatong to? Ano bang kanyang mga posisyon tungkol sa mga isyong to? Dapat kilalanin. So it is important. I welcome that. And I think if the people will have really a choice of candidates to choose from, because we cannot make a mistake again in 2010. The next leader must be legitimately elected. The next leader must be competent and must have the compassion for the people.
A while ago you were saying that you don't think that it's going to be parang just Gloria Arroyo who is going to be the, will be the issue there, and it's not going to be
it's one
very
of the
clear
issues,
lines.
but
One
not
of the
the
issues.
only issue.
Although, like you said, parang the onus will be on the candidate or the administration to explain. No, it doesn't sound. Am I correct in making a conclusion that it sounds like you're not going to be the administration candidate?
Oh no. Yes,
Definitely
in 2004, I ran with the late Fernando Poe Jr. As the opposition vice presidential candidate.
Ngayon lang tayo magkakaroon ng vice-presidente na pinakamaganda, pinakamatalino, pinakamasipag, at mahal kayong lahat. Loren Legarda!
In 2004 to 2007, I fought the good fight in the Supreme Court for 3 long, arduous years with just my lawyers, without a political party supporting me, with limited funds after I was cheated and lost, and fought it almost alone. And that's where we saw the fraud. And in 2007, despite the alleged, invitations through various people to join the administration, I ran with the opposition and won overwhelmingly as number 1 for the second time. I belong to the opposition. I will continue to run with the opposition if I run for higher office.
Okay, if you run for higher office. So president or vice president, so definitely...
Vice president, been there, done that.